It's Monday night once again. Welcome to AMN Academy. We are 9.09er English and the NCLEX Review Center partners of AMN Healthcare International give you free lessons and free lectures on nursing exam, which is NCLEX NGN, and the English examinations that are required for you to have your visa screen in working as a nurse to the United States of America. This is Irvin Neil Temporal of 9.09er English, and later tonight we're going to have Miss Jessica De La Cruz, the Accounts Relationship Manager of the British Council Philippines, together with Mr. Marlone Viardo to share his IELTS success story. Before we go to that portion, first, I'm going to promote the new books that we have published this 2025. Since January of this year, we have released 4 books already, and these 4 books are the ones that candidates need to pass the high-stakes English examinations to work as a registered nurse in the United States of America. Of course, which examination is accepted in all state boards of nursing for the United States of America, none other than the IELTS. That is why recently we have launched our IELTS 2025 book. We've launched our first book in 2020, but 5 years later, here is our 5th edition. Now, we also have other books like this one, fresh from the printing press. It's our PTE 2025 book. So if you're looking for the most affordable preparation material, our books are available for 599 pesos to 649 pesos on Shopee. If ever you are based in other countries outside of the Philippines, our books are also available on Amazon. But if you're from the Philippines, just type 9.09er so that you can check our PTE book. The 2 other English examinations that are accepted for your visa screen and license endorsement, we have OET and MET. Once again, these books are available on Shopee. But we know that there are certain individuals who are looking for books that are more specific to the writing and speaking subtests, knowing that in listening and reading, the answers are already found in the passage and also mentioned by the speakers in the recording. But for writing and speaking, you as a candidate are going to come up with original content. You're going to write a sentence, you're going to come up with a paragraph. No wonder why the first 2 books that we have published for IELTS, we have our IELTS writing book and our IELTS speaking book. These are also available on Shopee. We understand that there are nurses who would like to focus on OET because it's the most relatable English examination for them, and nothing to worry because we have 3 books for OET. This one is our OET writing book with sample writing case notes and model responses written by Sir Brian Martin Shawson himself. We also have this book. It's our our OET speaking book containing role play cards and also model responses for OET speaking. But if you're looking for the complete package in OET, we also have this book known as the 4-in-1 book, which includes listening, reading, grammar, and vocabulary for OET. Not only that, the last 2 books that I'd like to share with you for tonight, we have our grammar book and vocabulary book. So these 2 books are not just for IELTS candidates, they're also for anyone who would like to improve the quality of their English. So those are the 10 books that are available on 9.09er Shopee page and 9.09er Amazon. We'd like to ask our live attendees for tonight, which English examination would you like to take in order to go to the United States of America? Is it IELTS, PTE, OET, MET? Let us know your thoughts by using the comment section. We are going to divide our AMN FB Live for tonight into 2 parts. 9 p.m. to 9:15 p.m. It's the turn of the British Council to give you the latest updates regarding the IELTS. And then from 9:15 to 9:30 p.m., we are going to feature an IELTS passer. For the last few months, this technique proved to be effective because our candidates are able to learn test-taking strategies from candidates who have taken and passed the examination. So later with us from 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. is Mr. Marlone Viardo. Well, I'm going to turn you over to Miss Jessica De La Cruz of the British Council. What I'm going to do is to share the link to various group chats. Also, part of the presentation of Miss Jessica is to invite you to attend our face-to-face IELTS events at 9.09er testing centers. We have recently concluded the one in Dagupan just last Saturday, but don't you worry because we are coming to the rest of Luzon in the coming months. In fact, we already have scheduled face-to-face events in Manila, Makati, Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, Dagua, Cabanatuan, and Tuguegarao in the coming months. Now, we are also announcing that officially we have opened our 11th IELTS on Computer Testing Center with the British Council in Western Visayas, and that's none other than Iloilo City. All that and more from Miss Jessica. Meanwhile, I'll turn my camera off and mute myself to give way to Miss Jessica. Hi, Miss Jack.
Hi, Sir Irvin. Good evening, everybody. And thank you again, AMN and 9.09er for inviting us here. Sir Irvin mentioned a lot of English test options for you, but ultimately, IELTS remains to be the priority or the main English test that most nurses going to the US actually prefer. This is because more than 80% of states in the US actually accept the IELTS test. So that means you have more opportunities that you can actually maximize when you have your IELTS test. So IELTS is what we call the International English Language Testing System, and it is designed to assess the English language ability of a person. So if you wish to work as a USRN, of course, you need to be able to communicate using their first language, which is English. That's why you need the IELTS test to be able to prove that you have the capacity to speak their language. Now, IELTS is actually has been here in the market for more than 35 years, since 1989 to be exact. It is considered as a high stake English language test, and it is accepted by more than 12,500 organizations worldwide. And again, it is also accepted by more than 80% of the states in the United States of America. It is recognized by our reliability and validity. And speaking of validity, our the IELTS result is valid for 2 years. All right. And then we do have what we call a trusted multi-layered security measures, which actually ensures the fairness and the veracity of the test. So we make sure that there's no cheating or any leakage that could happen during the test. And so IELTS is IELTS actually opens doors of opportunities for people who would like to study or live, or maybe like yourselves who would like to work in other countries such as the US. So IELTS, it's your test, so it's your choice. IELTS in the Philippines is the only test that actually provides you options on how you can take it. So you can take it either on paper or on computer. So people would ask us, which is easier, paper test or computer test? And we would always say it's actually up to you. So if you're someone like Irvin who's used to testing or taking the test via paper, you can take the test via IELTS on paper. However, if you are someone like myself who's very comfortable using computer or maybe computer skilled or a tech savvy, you can opt to take the test via computer. Now, there are, of course, advantages and disadvantages, or maybe similarities and differences of these two types. So, of course, for both test formats, is composed of the listening, reading, and writing components. That's the written part of the test. And of course, the last part is the speaking test, which is a one-on-one interview with a live examiner. And when we say live examiner, of course, we stick to it. We don't use AI, etc. We don't use just merely recording because, based on the study conducted by Cambridge, this is still the best way to gauge a person's speaking ability. So we are proud to say that we have the best assessment method because of that. Right, so the speaking test is actually done via a video call. So you'll be in one room and the examiner will be on a monitor using a digital platform. And you can take it both academic and general training. So for those who would like to work as a nurse in the US, the module that most nurses usually take is academic. If you are unsure, of course, you can check with AMN or 9.09 or your requiring institutions about the kind of module that you need to take. Now, the IELTS test is available. Both of the test formats are available for the same price, which is at 13,100 pesos. Now, results are released faster for computer tests compared to paper tests. Results are released not 1 to 5 calendar days after the test. Rather, it has now been improved to just 24 to 48 hours after the test. And for paper tests, you need to take note that results take a bit longer. Results are released 13 calendar days after the test. And the difference would be paper for paper tests, you still need to wait for your personal copy of your result to be sent to you, or you can pick it up at our Manila office. But for the computer tests, um, you will actually receive an electronic copy of your results, which you can actually download from your registration profile, right? Paper tests are conducted 3 to 4 times in a month, depending on the location. However, for computer tests, we do it on a weekly basis. In Manila alone, we actually do it every day, 7 times in a week, with about 2 to 3 sessions in a day. So we have morning, afternoon, and evening. Paper tests are conducted in more than 25 locations around the Philippines. And for computer tests, it's not 19, it's now 20. Irvin announced. Recently, we launched our IELTS on computer test in Iloilo City in partnership with 9.09er. So for computer tests in Metro Manila, we do have 5 locations. For IELTS on paper, if you, let's say, wasn't able to get the band score you need in one component, well, you need to retake all 4 components again. So, but for IELTS on computer, we have what we call the one skill retake option, where you have the chance to just take that component which you need to improve on. And that means you have another chance to focus on that component, and you would be able to get the band score that you need. So, this is the snapshot of the differences between IELTS on paper and IELTS on computer. And quickly, this is the IELTS test format. So you will take the test for about 3 hours. The speaking test is done separately. So we have the written part of the test, listening, reading, and writing. And then the last one, the live interview or the one-on-one interview with the live examiner, which is about 11-14 minutes. That's the speaking test. Next, please. Now, why would you take the test with the British Council? So these are the reasons. So, number one, I could not emphasize it more. We do have more test sessions and test locations to choose from. Comparing it to other available English tests in the market, we do believe that test takers should be able to take the test based on their convenience or based on their accessibility. And so, we have a lot of test locations. Again, that's 25 for paper test, 20 for IELTS on computer. If you want to check these locations, we do have it. We have a list here, and you would be able to see that we do have testing in major cities and provinces from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So you can scan this QR code or simply visit britishcouncil.ph to know more about our test dates and test locations. So this is a list, an incomplete list, if I may say, because we've been adding a lot of test locations every now and then. Because for us, it's actually very important for you to have a very smooth sailing test experience. And that includes, of course, your convenience. That's why we won't be stopping until the test center is already at your arm's reach. So looking at the left side, which is the IELTS on paper, and on the right side for the IELTS on computer test, these are the locations. And as you can see, we haven't even added Iloilo in the list yet, because we just launched it about two weeks ago. Next, please. Right. And we do have a lot of activities for you to actually prepare yourself for the test, experience the test, and then you'll have more probability of getting the band score you need. So we do have upcoming activities with 9.09er. We have what we call the IELTS on paper trial test. This is the actual simulation of the paper test. So you would be able to already experience taking the actual listening, reading, writing parts of the test. You'll get indicative band scores, and you would be able to experience it inside an actual test venue, because Niner Cavite and Niner Manila are actually our paper test venues. So these are the dates. Please take note. We've already started the trial test in Cavite last May 24. And next week, we'll have it in Manila. If you want to sign up, if you want to join, please feel free to contact 9.09er to sign up. It's all for free. So those who would want to try it, just go and sign up. It's both for academic and general training test takers. Next, please. We also have, of course, for computer test takers, we have IELTS on computer familiarization test. You'll have you'll be able to experience how it is taking the computer test, how to use the system, etc. Have an idea of what kinds of questions and test formats you'll actually experience when you take the test. And then you'll also have indicative scores for the listening and reading sections as long as you complete it. All right. So all you need to have is a laptop and a compute and an internet connection, and you can already take the test. You can also ask 9.09er because they do have free mock test sessions also using the same system, our system, in their respective test centers. So you'll experience taking IELTS on computer test in your actual preferred test center. Next, please. So we do have upcoming events. Yeah. It should actually be moving. Could you it's clickable. I hope it would work. But we do have IELTS mini fairs available, upcoming in various locations. Is it not working? Anyway, Irvin mentioned this earlier. We just concluded the Gupan last week, and this month. We'll be doing monthly IELTS mini fairs in major locations. So for this month, we have Niner Manila, and that's going to be on June 28th. So the next one will be in Cavite, and then in Batangas, and then we'll have Tuguegarao, and then we'll have Laguna. All right, so that's up until November. It's too sad that the video won't play, but if you want to know more about these events, you can actually contact 9.09er or check our Facebook page, IELTS British Council Philippines, so that you can also sign up. We'll be bringing a lot of partners, including partners that would actually be focusing on providing you training for your NCLEX exam. Next, please. We also have promos upcoming for both paper and computer test takers. So what you are seeing right now is the paper promo for those who are planning to take the test from in Manila, Cebu, and Cagayan de Oro up until June 30. Use this promo code. So all of you watching right now, take a photo of it. And then you'll get an SMGC worth 300 pesos and IELTS Ready Premium Access. Actually, it's not 4,000 pesos. It's actually worth 9,500 pesos. Next, please. This is our IELTS on computer promo. It's IELTS Sulit, so you'll save as much as 1,000 pesos if you will take the test in select locations nationwide on or before June 30. So if I were you, either a paper or computer test taker, make sure that you avail of these promos. Next, please. So these are our website addresses, contact details, even our Facebook page. So if you have questions, concerns after this event, we would love to actually answer or help you. So please take note of this. Our website is britishcouncil.ph and our Facebook page is IELTS British Council Philippines. Like our page now if you haven't done it yet. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. We hope to see you in one of our test centers. And again, don't forget our IELTS mini fairs in various locations. We hope to see you there as well. Thank you, Sir Irvin. Good night, everybody.
Thank you so much, Ms. Check. That's the first part of our presentation for tonight. Before we ask Sir Marlone some questions regarding his actual IELTS examination experiences and for test taking strategies he would like to share to fellow IELTS passers, now let's take a look at some of the questions or messages or comments here on Facebook Live. Libanos Dora is joining us from Ghana. Good afternoon to our dear brothers and sisters in Africa. And then 9.09er Quezon City greeted Sir Lone. Let's go, Sir Lone. We have a question here. What's the required band score for IELTS? And it was answered by 9.09er Quezon City branch. For speaking, it's 7.0 and overall band score 6.5. What does this mean? It means you can get any grade that you want for listening, reading, and writing as long as your speaking is 7 and your overall band score is 6.5. The question is, how do we get 6.5 overall band? The recommendation is to aim for 6 in listening, 6 in reading, 6 in writing, and a 7 in speaking because that will give you 6.5 overall band score. Now, what else do we have here? Fatime Jamdar asked, where can I get the books? For now, we do not sell e-copies or soft copy of the book, but these books are available on Amazon if you are based outside of the Philippines, and if you're based in the Philippines, we have our Shopee page. Watch out for our announcement because soon we'll be available in the different platforms like Lazada and TikTok Shop and Facebook Marketplace. What else do we have here? Castillo Junior Mapo is going to take IELTS for Australia. Well, we would like to clarify that this is the Facebook page of AMN Healthcare International. This Facebook Live, though, is not just for nurses going to America. This Facebook Live session is for everyone wanting to learn about the IELTS. That is why we have decided to feature an IELTS passer for tonight so that he can share his actual examination experience. And that's going to take place in the next 15 minutes. What other messages or comments do we have here? Ompi Chimuka said, AMN Healthcare International. Hello, my name is Ompi and I'm a registered nurse. Thank you, Ompi. You came to the right page. So if you're planning to go to the United States of America and work as a nurse there, kindly send AMN Healthcare International a message. You can also go to their website and send an email. And once you qualify, you are sent to 9.09er English for your free English review and ultimately your free English examination. Now, another comment from Ompi. She's watching us from Zambia. Good afternoon to our viewers from Zambia. Antoinette asked, how about for Canada? What is the overall band score needed? For Canada, you have two options. Either you enter Canada as an immigrant or as a student. For student visa, Canada requires that you take IELTS academic module. If you're going to enter Canada using the immigrant visa, this means that you need to take IELTS general training. Now, this does not mean that you can work in a Canadian hospital because for you to work as a Canadian hospital, you need to have a Canadian bachelor's degree in nursing. And once you start working in the hospital, what's the requirement? Listening must be 7.5. Reading must be 6.5. For writing, you must aim for 7, and for speaking, you must aim for 7. If you're going to compare US and Canada, US passing scores are a lot lower as compared to Canada. No wonder why US is the favorite destination of our dear nurses. Do we have more questions? None so far. And this time, let's welcome Mr. Marlone Viardo, our featured passer for tonight. Good evening, Sir Lone.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Welcome to
Thank you,
our
sir.
AMN Academy, where we are going to share our tips and strategies to our dear aspirants who have not yet taken the IELTS. So let's go through your examination experience from preparation to the actual test. Knowing that there are four subtests in the IELTS, there's listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Of the four, which one did you consider the easiest?
Definitely the IELTS listening section because I guess for Filipinos, we have good hearing. So it's easy for us to pick up all the things that the speakers in the recordings are saying. And I think with a lot of practice, we will be able to identify answers that the speakers are mentioning. And I also believe that the beauty of the listening section is in the fact that it's very reflective in nature. You don't have to come up with your own answers. All the answers will be given to you as long as you're very attentive.
That is correct. And actually, the detail that Sir Marlon shared with us is consistent with the global statistics. If you look at the national average per country, most of the countries in the world usually get the highest average in the listening subtest. So, Sir Marlon's insight, he said that he found the listening subtest to be the easiest of them all. This is consistent with the global experience of our dear candidates. But of course, if you we find one subtest easy, perhaps there's also that subtest we find challenging or difficult. In the case of Sir Marlone right here, which subtest did you find most challenging for you?
The irony is some people would say it should be the writing section, but lately, since I recently took my IELTS again for the second time, I found the reading section harder now that I guess that I'm older because I feel sleepy by the time I get to the third passage. Whereas with writing, I still feel awake simply because the questions are challenging me to constantly engage with the task. So my mind is really working overtime so I can come up with a valuable or insightful response. Whereas with the reading section, all the words, it's just coming my way. And at times I feel overwhelmed. So physically, the reading section for me is very demanding.
Sir Marlone is right. If we are going to look at the average of the candidates for the four subtests, most people get the highest grade in listening, followed by speaking, and then reading, lastly, writing. It's just that I have a good news for all the nurses who are planning to go to the United States. US does not require a specific score for listening, reading, and writing. All that matters is your grade in speaking and your overall must be 6.5. So having said that, don't be bothered if people get low grades in reading and in writing. What's most important, you focus on the speaking subtest, maximize the daily one-on-one coaching offered by 9.09er English to the AMN nurses. That's the reason why you were sent over to 9.09er because we specialize in daily one-on-one coaching from Monday to Sunday, except for public holidays. So we've noticed in the last couple of years that we have partnered with AMN. The average preparation time for the nurses to go to the United States, 2 to 3 months of IELTS preparation. But if you attend the classes religiously and you maximize the one-on-one coaching earlier in the first few weeks of your review, then perhaps we can recommend you to take the examination with just 1 month of preparation. Now, Sir Marlon mentioned that he considered the reading subtest to be the most challenging of them all. However, because speaking is the most important subtest for USA, Sir Marlon, what's the most effective tip that you'd like to share to our dear nurses who are struggling to pass the speaking subtest?
I definitely recommend that they attend classes at a test preparation center, specifically 9.09er. I'm a product of the center, and on the two times or during the two times that I've taken the IELTS, I've gotten great scores in the speaking test. And it's simply because the lectures at Niner provide me with an overview of what to expect. Plus, we're given by the instructors or the lecturers, they give us information on how to best respond to questions especially when these are topics that we're not familiar with, because that's a common problem in the IELTS. You're not going to get questions that you're an expert on. You will get questions on various topics. And you mentioned something about one-on-one coaching, sir. I definitely benefited from that because prior to preparing with Niner, I had this mindset that being good at English is enough. But then I come to realize it's not really about what I just know about English, but it's also what the examiners want to hear from me. And I was so blessed that the coaches of 9.09er generously spend their time with me, explaining how the grading criteria works and how I can use my skills to adjust to the requirements of the speaking test so I can get the score that I needed for my visa application.
I would like to echo what Sir Marlon said about the one on one coaching. Yes, this is the age of social media. In fact, you can get a lot of information from the internet. You watch videos on YouTube and you feel that you're a master already. The big difference is in this examination, you need feedback. For other aspects of life, when you watch a video, maybe that is enough. But you cannot ask follow-up questions if you are preparing for an English examination like the IELTS. If you have questions, the vlogger or the person you see on the video cannot respond to your questions. That's the point of the daily one-on-one coaching offered by 9.09er English for the benefit of AMN nurses. You can have one-on-one coaching literally every single day. So the coach is going to highlight your mistakes. So the next time around, you're going to do everything in your capacity to avoid committing exactly the same errors, with the ultimate goal of passing the examination on your first and last attempt. If, excuse me, if this is not your first attempt, then we are going to work together to make sure that this is your last. Now, for our next question, there are six English examinations accepted by CGFNS for visa screen. Well, there's the IELTS, PTE, OET, MET, TOEFL, and TOEIC. But Sir Marlon, why do you think IELTS seems to be the most practical choice compared to the other English examinations?
I would like to echo with what Miss Jack mentioned earlier. I think it's because of the flexible testing options. Like I live in Quezon City, and the other tests are not available in my area. Whereas the IELTS, there are two testing centers in Quezon City. I would recommend people to go to the British Council Testing Center in Cubao. That's easily accessible. But for me, I live in a part of Quezon City that's also easily accessible to Niner P Campa in Manila, where I took my test. So I think for people who don't want to have to go through the trouble of scouring the internet for test dates and test locations, I think that's one of the biggest selling points of the IELTS. And I guess another decision or another factor that affected my decision, or I think another factor that should affect our decision when it comes to choosing IELTS is acceptability. Like when you say the name IELTS, everybody knows it. Almost everybody accepts it. So should you have a change of plans if you're going to a different state, or if you're going to perhaps go to a different organization in the US, rest assured that your IELTS results will still be accepted. Whereas it's hard to say that with a different exam.
That is true, Sir Marlon. He highlighted the availability of IELTS in most cities. Now, if we just look at the Philippines and consider the Philippines as a microcosm of the world, let's take a look at how many testing centers there are for the top four English exams. We begin with IELTS, which is the most widely recognized, not just in the United States, but also worldwide. In the Philippines, there are 32 key cities where the IELTS as an examination is available. Recently, with the addition of IELTS on Computer Testing Center of 9.09er in Iloilo City, this marks the 33rd testing center of IELTS in the Philippines. But what about the other English examinations? The second most popular English test seems to be the favorite among nurses. But what stops them from taking this examination is that this popular English exam is only available in four cities: Makati, Baguio, Cebu, and Davao. So look at the big difference. IELTS is available in 33 cities now, whereas this popular exam is only available in 4 cities. So this means you have to travel all the way to a specific city just for you to take that favorite examination. What about the two other exams like OET and MET? OET right now is available in 16 cities nationwide, half of the testing centers for of IELTS, but definitely 4 times more than PTE. And what about MET? MET is available in 14 testing centers nationwide. No wonder why, even if other nurses would like to choose other examinations, they'd still go back to IELTS because they do not want to spend for travel and accommodation. Now, let's talk about Sir Marlone's actual speaking experience. Let's forget about his listening, reading, and writing because they don't matter anyway for to CGFNS and the state boards of nursing. So, Sir Marlone, please tell us more about your actual speaking experience and how it went. And what do you think made you pass the speaking test?
Well, for my testing experience, sir, I would say overall it was pleasant when I got to the testing center of 9.09 in Picampa. The customer service representatives of the British Council assisted me throughout the entire process. I had my speaking test in the afternoon. They guided me to the testing room. They were using state of the art equipment. The rooms were I guess they were at the right temperature. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, which I think affected my performance because when you're comfortable, when you feel good, obviously you're also going to perform at a high level. The headphones of the computers allowed me to clearly hear what the examiner had to ask me. They provided me with writing tools, which I can use for taking notes, particularly in speaking part two. Uh, what contributed to my success, I think I already touched on this earlier, is my coaching sessions at 9.09er. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't feel confident dealing with the examiner because in my experience, a lot of people hesitate to talk or are sometimes afraid to speak because they lack experience in using the language in that particular setting. But because of the time I spent with the coaches, I didn't even feel rattled during my test. It just felt like I was having fun. I was playing around. Now, I know we want to take the test seriously, but I guess if you're not pressured with the feeling of you need to pass this or everything's going to go wrong at any given moment, I think that can boost your scores because in your mind you think that nothing's going wrong. This is just something that I normally do. So yeah, the one-on-one coaching sessions at Niner definitely played a pivotal role in my success.
Congratulations, Sir Marlon, because you passed the speaking subtest of IELTS not just once, but twice. So, my question is, despite the rumors against IELTS, would you still recommend IELTS over other English examinations to the nurses who have plans of going to the United States?
Yeah, definitely, sir. Because as you've mentioned, I've taken the test twice. I've succeeded in the speaking test twice. And that's simply because, unlike other English exams, the IELTS did not change a lot over the years. What Niner teaches 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, it's still relevant today. And I think the problem with other English exams, if let's say you're going to take it again, there's a possibility that whatever you learned a few years ago or maybe a few months ago, it will not be applicable today. So I would definitely encourage nurses to take the IELTS over other English exams simply because this is a very consistent test and it stood the test of time. Because even with the emergence of these new exams, the IELTS remains a force to be reckoned with. And that speaks volumes about the credibility and the reputation and the kind of service that you're getting from the makers of the test. And I also want to point out that it's also one of the most affordable. It's not the cheapest, but there are exams there that are definitely more expensive. And it comes to resources, the IELTS has been very generous. You just go to the website of the British Council, you will find a bunch of practice tests. As Miss Jess mentioned, there are free mock exams at authorized testing centers of 9.09er. So you're not going to experience that with other English exams. There are certain tests where it's very hard to find resources that can effectively prepare you for the test. So, if I were to summarize all of that, there's the price, there's the test taking strategies that are relevant up to now, and then the free resources that you can just get. Those are the main reasons why anyone in their right mind should pick the IELTS.
Thank you for choosing IELTS. But what about this question? There are two examination providers. One is the British Council, where you passed your most recent IELTS exam, and the other testing center. So let me ask you, why the British Council and not the other testing center?
It's as simple as the name, sir. Like when you hear British Council, there's a ring to it that you feel like, hey, this is a prestigious organization. Actually, my first thought when I came across the British Council, I thought it was a government agency. And when you're dealing with government agencies, you have peace knowing that you're dealing with a legitimate entity. Not that the other entity isn't legitimate; they're both owners of the IELTS. But that's what crossed my mind. But I didn't regret my decision, even though my preconceived notion of the British Council was wrong. Because on my two attempts of the IELTS, the customer service that I received from the representatives of the British Council were definitely, I would say, from a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10. They were very helpful. They were very transparent, and they also respond quickly to inquiries. So I would encourage our um, fellow Filipinos, if they're in the Philippines, if you're going to take the IELTS in the Philippines, I highly recommend the British Council for top-notch customer service.
Very, very well said, Sir Marlo. Now we are down to the last question. Just like that, we have reached the end of our Facebook Live session. But before we leave, we're going to ask Sir Marlon last few words to the nurses who are still not confident and are still undecided with their next plans of action, with their next steps, and right now are still waiting to move and uh, waiting for progress and actions towards their American dream.
Uh, my encouragement to all the nurses who still don't know what to do when it comes to their career progression, I would say easy things are, everything is hard until it becomes easy. So all it takes is for you to take that leap of faith to get the ball rolling. But until you do something, all your dreams will remain dreams. So if you want your dreams to come true, to be realized, actions have to be taken. And if you don't know where to begin, I suggest you get in touch with AMN Academy to find out all the paperwork that you have to comply with. And you cannot go wrong with choosing 9.09er and acing your IELTS right away. The IELTS is valid for 2 years. Niner will definitely help you get a good score in this exam. And if you get your results, it's valid for 2 years. That's plenty of time for you to decide on what you're going to do next with your career. So just remember that fortune favors the bold. So it's time to get out of our comfort zone and time to take risks because you will end up regretting the things that you did not do more than the things that you did.
Here's my key takeaway from what Sir Marlon said. Nothing good ever comes easy because easy things are not great and great things are not easy. In real life, there is no elevator to success. You need to take the stairs. But don't you worry because you're not alone in climbing the stairs. There's AMN Healthcare International that sponsors free review for English examinations, and there's 9.09er to guide you every step of the way. We accept one-on-one coaching, or we offer one-on-one coaching, and that's every day from Monday to Sunday. Guys, always remember AMN Academy every Monday at 9 p.m. First and third Monday of the month, it's the turn of 9.09er English to talk about English examinations. First Monday of the month, specifically, we are with the British Council to give you the latest updates about the exam, and we feature an IELTS passer every first Monday of the month, like Sir Marlo now, who passed his IELTS twice. Then every third Monday of the month, rather, it's my turn or Sir Brian's turn to do lectures like listening, reading, writing, speaking. Unfortunately, on the 16th of June, I won't be available, so I'll be asking Sir Philip to accompany Sir Brian on June 16 for your free IELTS lectures courtesy of 9.09er English. And don't forget, second and fourth Monday of the month, it's the turn of the NCLEX Review Center partners of AMN Healthcare Academy to give you free lessons on NCLEX. Once again, we would like to thank everyone for joining us tonight, listening to the British Council and hearing the testimony of Marlone Viardo, an IELTS passer. We hope to see you next time. But if you want to be sponsored by AMN Healthcare International for your English review, always remember that AMN is an email away. You can go to their website. You can also message their Facebook page. Once again, we are 9.09er English together with IELTS British Council Philippines. On behalf of AMN Academy, we would like to thank everyone and we hope to see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.